Morning everybody, it's Mark from MT Restorations again. Got a new project. It's something a little different. I picked up recently a Marx number 2002, 2002 two-man gang car. You know, people pump up the thing and goes back and forth and whatever. Actually, I have another one here on the track I just put together and fixed up a little bit. It's one of these. Minus the people. I haven't gotten those yet, but I picked this one up recently looking to get some parts off of it to fix another. But this one actually ran a little bit better than this one. But they have the same common problem. So we're going to take a look at my original one today, and we're going to try to fix it as I fix this one. And this one we'll show you in a little bit towards the end how it runs on the track, which runs very well. So anyway, without wasting any more time, let me get just focused in on what we're doing here today, and we'll go from there. So just to point down at the workbench here a little bit, move these other projects out of the way a little bit. These are some custom tankers for a customer. So I got this one actually from my little sister in Pennsylvania. Sent me this with a box of other things. And it really didn't do much. It was pretty cracked up, pretty broken. So I used some super glue and some clamps and put it back together to a point where at least it's in the same shape it's supposed to be. So I took that off, and what's the issue with this one is actually the motor runs when I put it on the track, and the gears will spin, but the problem is the drive gear. This has a drive gear on the bottom, which is supposed to engage the upper gear, which it doesn't. The reason being, this gear, as you can see, is kind of wobbly. It wobbles back and forth, and it does not engage the immediate gear here, intermediate gear. It does if you hold it together and work it by hand. But again, with the slop that's in this gear, it does not engage with the axle drive gear. So what I did on the other is I replaced the gear stud that holds this in place, and I was able to secure a new way to keep that gear where it's supposed to be. So, and aside from that, the wires, as you can see, are kind of crispy. They're in bad shape. From the contactors below, which are in good shape, the wires are pretty cooked, so we're going to replace those too. But like I said, it does actually run, and the brushes, from what I can tell, seem to be in good shape, and the armature is going to need cleaned later on, but it does run. So anyway, to get to the gear stud, it's behind this wheel. So what we want to do is see if we can coax this wheel off of here without too much difficulty, and we'll see what happens here. Might have to get out the big guns. This is pretty much rusted on. So let me get a little, when that happens, the trusty penetrating fluid a little bit there. That'll take care of a little rust there too. On this side, you don't necessarily have to take this wheel off, but if I can get the rust penetrated, to ease up on some of that rust, the better. So I'm going to try and see if we can get a underneath here a little bit, and oh, it's moving a little. I don't want to damage the wheel, but what you do is get this just underneath there, and you don't pry up so much as you twist it. Yeah, you twist the screwdrivers, and that will coax this up in the air, and it is coming off, so that's a good sign. Yeah, so what we're going to do is see if we can get a little bit more of that. Let's see if we can twist this off a little bit here. So it's going to be stubborn. So let me see here. It's almost there, actually. There we go. One more. That's good. Okay, good deal. So, no. So what we have, the frame is very thin. So let me coax this back down to where it needs to be. Straighten it back out. We don't want the frame too malformed. Okay, so to get to that gear, so here's the stud for that gear right there. And like I said, you can see how much movement there is in that gear itself. This is the bar that goes up and down that drives the beam that goes across here. I can actually show you better here. It's this drive rod here that goes up, drives the beam. So this is a lot of movement in this. And so we're going to remove that pin. And I'd like to have a little block of wood around sometimes just to help me elevate, keep things a little bit steady. I can work on them. Okay, so we're going to dig out a small, let's see what we got here. What I'm going to do is take my little carborundum blade here in my Dremel tool, and we're going to shave off a little bit of this and see if we can get this down to where we need it. We don't want to alter the hole where this comes through. We don't want to make it out of round. We just want to take this pin and push it through. So they crimped it over on this side of the frame. So as you can see, it got that pretty well flattened out. You can barely see where the pin even goes through. So when we get that out of there, which should not be too difficult now, I'm going to see if I can coax it out from this side and get behind that pin and that gear and see if we can get that loosened through that frame. Yeah, it's a little bit there. So we're going to, there we go. So that wasn't too bad. So again, now this pin goes through a bushing, which is nice because that means I can replace that pin with something else, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to leave the eccentric pin in here that's going to rotate, leave that alone for now. And we don't want to mess with that too much because that's the main part of this car is just to work properly, and it also drives the gear down below that drives the wheels. So this gear is very important, and it's a shame that they didn't spend a little bit more time or money engineering this where that gear the gear stud would last a little bit longer than it has. So what I did on the other one, I actually replaced it with a very small screw and a small lock washer and a nut. So what we're going to do is dig those out, and that's going to be our goal, is to replace that pin with that right there. And I do believe I should have another lock washer in here. I hope so. I got everything else in here. Here we go. It's actually hiding on this one. So we'll take that apart. There's a lock washer. So we have the parts. So what we're going to do now is get this little stud pin, this rivet, out of there. We need to get that out of there. So let's see if we can coax it out of there without mangling up the bit here too much. I see what the problem is. It's caught underneath this little bit of this bar right there. And see if we can get that pin out of there. Get a hold of it with this. There we go. Okay. So that was the old, so it has a nice little brass bushing inside here. It's hard to see it, but this bushing here is intact. It's in good shape. And this screw will fit right through here. And we will put this right through the frame and put the lock washer on it and tighten the nut down, and that will hopefully secure this shaft, this bushing, tight enough to the frame that this gear will not wobble anymore. So that's the theory. It worked okay on there, and it had the same problem. So it was sort of like the Marx company had a great idea. The car is a nice little thing when it's all put together. I've seen one online that has all the parts and pieces to it, and it's a nice little two-man car. It has a blue guy and a gray guy, and it works really well. So with that said, I'm going to try to straighten out this a little bit more. This has a couple little glitches in it. I'm going to squeeze it together a little bit here. The roller system is a little, contactor is a little bit loose in here. You know what? I'm going to try to take this wheel off too, for I can get to both sides of the frame and work this off a little bit better here if I can. It's almost there. Let me see if I can get a grip on that. I need to get a grip on a lot of things. Let's see if I can get this wheel off of here. Well, you know what? Let me see here. I think I can work this frame without taking that all the way off. How's that? We want to straighten this out some. Pretty straight. Yeah. See, I don't know. They used really thin metal for this frame, for the chassis, and it's also part of the problem. When these get banged, they show it. They take a hit. They don't take a hit very well. So with that said, let's pry this open a little bit here. Okay, so I want to get this back in. And well, you know what, I'm going to leave it kind of loose for now because I got to change the wire off of here anyway. So let me snip that wire out of the way. And let's see what we got here. Take this off altogether. So we will replace this wire last. I'm going to get this back together and get this rolling here. So again, so the little hole on this side for that pin will work out nicely. And we're going to feed this through back in the way it was. Let's see if does it fit. Doesn't look like it fits. Okay, so not a problem. We can drill that out a little bit. We have plenty of tools. What we lack in knowledge, we have in tools. All right, so with that said, let me see. I think this is the one. Let me get my trusty little drill here. And we want to put a little hole right back in here, make this a little bigger. Okay, so drilling out the hole was successful. I made it just big enough for the screw to fit through, and I did do so. You can see what I did. I got the gear set back in place. I put the little screw through, the little Phillips head screw, put on a lock washer and a nut, tightened it down. I'm not sure if you can see in there that well, but it worked out. And the wheels are, they don't really interfere with that as it runs. So if I need be, if I need to, I could just take my carburetor blade and nip off the end of that screw, but it seems to be okay as it is. So what we're going to do next is try it on the track, and let's see what happens. I mean, as it is right now, the gear engages both the intermediate gear from the armature and the drive gear that's on the axle. They do engage as they're supposed to. So, and we know we have power. We replace the wire, so we're going to try it on the track right now. So give me a half a second. What I'll do, I'll swing us over to the test track and we'll give it a try. Give me 30 or 40 seconds. Thanks. I'll be right back. Okay, here we are at the test track, and we got our little Marx two-man hand car that we just repaired. Let's see, let's put a little power to it and see what happens. Oh, look at that. How cool is that, huh? So that seemed to have done the trick. Obviously the rewiring helped tremendously. And also the bar that goes up and down seems to be rotating correctly, even though it's not in position. Well, let's try putting the body on here real quick, and we'll see how that looks. Okay, we were able to get the body back on this one here real quick, and let's see what it looks like, if it works. Okay, so has a tendency to needs a little weight distribution. These are very light, I can understand. I had the same problem when I first started up the other one. Actually, I showed it to you, but you haven't seen it run. So I'll show you how it actually goes. Now, that one goes very well, but like I said in the beginning, it had a little issue with the weight distribution. And once I get the two men that pump this car from my parts guy, we'll be able to put it all together and make a video of that once assembled. But that one goes really well, and we did the same repair on this one as we just did on this one, and it did go around great without the body on it, but I'd like it to do both. it's just a matter of a little bit of weight. So what I did on the other one, I have a couple leftover weights from my 259s. I'll just place on the back of this here a little bit, and makes a huge difference. Now obviously the two men aren't going to weigh that much. It actually picks the wheels up a little bit in the front, which we don't want to do, but as you can see, it runs like it should, and the bar goes up and down, which is great. So I think what we did today helped out tremendously, and it works. So I think what I'll do is clean it up, get the dirt off of it. Like I said, even though it was glued together and I had to use some clamps because after it cracked it was deformed and bent and so on, so I got it to relatively the same shape as this. It's missing a couple corners braces, as this one's missing 3, this one's missing 2, but other than that I think it'll make a pretty cool little hand car. Once it's working, put together, I'll get a couple more people for the top of that and get them in place, and I'm kind of excited when this comes, get those guys on there, and we'll do this again. And this is Mark from MT Restorations. If you'd like to send me any comments or questions, you can do so by emailing me at MT.TrainRestorations, all one word, at gmail.com. You can also see me on YouTube. I'm posted on there. I have quite a few videos. I'm at MT.Restorations, or excuse me, MT.TrainRestorations, and you can find me there. So I'll say goodbye for now. Take care. Bye-bye.